Good evening. Welcome to the Board of Health meeting for September 9th, 2024. We're going to open the meeting with introductions. I'm Michael Roach. Sheila?
I'm Sheila Peralt.
I'm Echo Omar.
I'm Carrie Ohm.
Angela Lemire.
Excellent. Okay, going to open the meeting. Start with citizen and business time. Citizen or business owners may contact the Office of the Board of Health to request to address the Board of Health during citizen and business time. Not seeing any attendance. We'll move on to agenda item number 2, permit renewal discussion.
Okay, that's me.
You guys.
So permitting renewals are coming up. We start our renewal process at the beginning of November. Our permits expire December 31st, so the renewal process starts beginning of November. Our system automatically generates renewals, renewal reminders that 4 of them get sent out. 2 in November, 2 in December, I believe. As well as I make phone calls and emails for reminders to establishments who have not filled out the application yet. We run into a lot of issues with still not receiving the applications on time. So we were looking into, I know we discussed a little bit prior, but we're looking into trying to see if we could put some type of regulation into effect where establishments will be held accountable if their permits were not renewed before the expiration date. So that's what we were kind of thinking. It gets very time consuming. We'll start off with the system sending out the renewals, and then I'll start to call if they don't start the permit application. I'll start to email, and then I'll start to call. And then if they pass the date, I'll call every week. And sometimes it lapses a month, 2 months, where they're expired before we get them renewed. So it's either we shut them down or we keep trying to work with them to get their permit renewed. So we were looking to see if we could maybe put a some type of fee involved, either, I know we talked about maybe doubling the permit fee if it wasn't renewed on time, or maybe like a sliding scale of a fee if it wasn't renewed on time, to try to maybe get them to kick it in gear and renew it prior to the renewal date.
So, out of the amount of people or businesses
Mhm.
that, how many are you saying, like 10% of the time you have to restart this, or is it like, or 90% of them?
I would say about 10%. I would say every year I have between 8 and 10 permits that lapse, and they're usually the same ones.
Okay, and then the penalty for that is they expire their permit, and then it would cause Carrie, they would have to go out to shut them down.
Yes.
And then when they reactivate, they pay the same fee that they would have paid
Yeah.
2 months earlier, let's say in December, but now they get 2 months free because they're just paying it 2 months later.
Not necessarily 2 months free, because
They're still
the fee
paying
is.
the
Oh, they're
same
still
amount.
paying well, but,
Right.
well, they lost 2 months out of it, so they get,
It's their loss.
it's their loss.
Right.
Yeah, so they pay more basically for it.
But the question would be, I don't know how long you would wanna go out if you did like the sliding scale. But just my point is, I wouldn't go 3rd week, 4th, if you have et cetera there, I would maybe even cut that down and then shut them down.
So we were thinking, it is mainly the same establishments, and there's really no reasoning behind why they're not renewed. It's more of a lack of not doing it versus not having the paperwork, or it's really just the lack of not doing it, it seems like. We're not saying, no, we're not gonna work with you. Absolutely, if that permit's started and we're just waiting on this paperwork or this grease trap cleaning, no. We're not gonna charge you a fee if we're running late on that. It's more of, the application's not started yet, we've tried to reach out to you, we can't get a hold of you, you're not responding to our phone calls, and now it's late, something along the lines of that we're looking at. A fee for something like that versus we're just waiting for this document to finish out the permit. We were looking more towards like the more aggressive scale and something like, first week 50, second 100, and then jumping to like 200, 400, and then closing down after the fourth week. And that's what we were kind of heading towards, to be more aggressive towards it, where we really don't wanna go 2-3 months out anymore.
Are any of the excuses like I'm waiting for the company to come in to clean out the grease traps, thus I haven't filled
Not
out
with
the thing?
those,
No?
not with those ones, we run into that with other establishments that we're working with, and it's like, no, we'll make a note of it, no worries.
Okay.
We have that written down and we'll push everything else through. They send it to us when it's ready, everything's good.
So like with those establishments, sometimes it's just them, working with the companies, and sometimes the companies don't have availability
That's right.
to,
Well,
clean the
yeah,
grease trap.
yeah.
And as long as they're willing to do it, we're fine with it. It's when
Mhm.
they're, kind of give us the runaround, and like they're too busy to do anything except, even applying for the permit, which really keeps your, restaurant open.
So out of any of these permits, are any of them like health-based? Like that's why it renews yearly? Or could somebody buy like a 3-year permit? Just asking.
Being able to.
Or do we just do yearlies, just for the heck of yearlies?
So we are looking for, basically the permits we're looking for these are the health permits, the food, lodging, and tobacco.
Yeah, no, like I would say like things that are urgent, like health, food, stuff like that, I would expect a yearly, certain metrics that need to be hit and checked yearly.
Mhm.
I mean, even the hospital, we go like 3 years between Medicare checks. It's not like they have to do it every year, it's just you're part of the 3-year accreditation
Right.
cycle. Is pool permits or campgrounds probably don't need to meet certain criteria, they could do a longer term one.
Well, you go out and inspect these anyways, regardless of whether the permit is done. So do you have to do
Yes.
pools and campgrounds yearly anyways?
Yes, yes, and usually the pools and, the camps, they're pretty good.
Yeah.
They really like it, because especially with seasonal pools, they can't open until we, permit them. So if they wanna open, then they're usually pretty good at contacting us ahead of time. And then we're like, okay, you can't open your pool, can't even go out to inspect your pool unless we get all this documentation. So they're usually pretty good for the seasonal one, and mostly for pools, we have seasonal pool.
Right.
So do they wait though till May to do the permit?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, that would make sense
That's
to
what I
me,
was
yeah,
thinking.
like, I don't think, if I wasn't gonna have something opened until
And I
May or
kept
June,
ignoring the auto
I
email.
would just be like, oh, no, forget it, I'll do that a little
Yeah,
later,
yeah,
so I can kinda understand those.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But I think you gotta be careful when you start making exceptions.
Mhm.
Maybe the campgrounds or the pools, if it's a seasonal pool, maybe they don't have to do those until April 1st.
Mhm.
Because once you start making exceptions to your rule, that's when it gets very muddied.
Yeah, and I also agree, like not paying for like a year-long permit for something you only use for
That's
3
right,
months, it's kinda, and we get this in like all these other sectors of like hospitals, it's like you have to pay every year to renew your registration or certification, something, nothing's changed, you know, but you still have to pay for it, in advance, and it's just on a yearly fee.
So the only thing that's hard with switching the date to April would, I guess, be the way our permitting system's set up, everything automatically goes out and it's set up on the time frame of expiring in December 31st.
Okay, but do you let them go all the way to the spring and then they show up and pay their permit? Or are you gonna charge them $50, $100, $200, $400? Are they gonna get a bill of $6,000, $7,000?
So, the only campground we have is a yearly campground, they're open all year round.
That one's different, but what about the pools?
So for the seasonal ones, we have seasonal permits. So their permit starts here and ends there, so start when they want to start, ends when, they're closing the pool. And that's and the same thing with like, recreational camps. So they're
Yeah.
seasonal, so we're not looking for those, we're looking for one that is like, all year round.
For like a pool, like,
Like,
Yeah.
Chateau, they're
yeah,
all
yeah,
year
I'm
round,
thinking,
and
so that's a different
Yes,
story
yes.
altogether.
Yeah.
And then when they fill out their application, is there something they have to show the board?
Sometimes.
Yeah, so like, there's a list of documents
Yeah.
we need. The certified food protection manager, the, anti-choking if they are required, all the documents, the food cleaning and all of it. So that's for the food establishments, and then for the pool, they have to submit their CPO certificates, certified pool operator, certificates. If it's seasonal, we require they do water testing for the one that's permit. We also require them to do water testing for, bacteria in the pool. So yes, we do, require documentation in order to open up a pool, whether it's seasonal or, year round.
And even the body art permits, you have to, like for the microblading ones, you have to make sure that their esthetician license is up to date.
Yep. So they have to
So
submit
they all have to submit paperwork pretty much, I would think.
Right.
Yep, and even if they have it on file, we ask that they do it all over again. We don't care if they submit the same documentation, cause it won't expire in 2 years or whatever. We ask them that they submit it so that we don't have to go digging around for their certifications or whatever documentation that, we may need.
And they're submitting all of this documents online, uploading pictures of.
so they're going in and they're pressing the renewal button and they're just renewing their previous permit, and they'll upload, the required documents. It could be the same, it could have to be updated, and, goes from there.
And then you guys, before you give them a permit, you're double checking dates to make sure that
Yeah.
all of these documents are not just being repeated when
Yes.
they've already expired.
Yes, and that's how we check all the documents too, so yearly, all the documents are getting sent to us, so every year we make sure that CPR is not expired, this is up to date, this is up to date as well.
On average, how much, do they pay in fees?
It varies, depending, restaurants depends on how many seats they have. I'm gonna pull up the fee schedule.
Yeah. I'm gonna close out this meeting because I don't think, Kim is joining us. solid waste, haulers permit and, swimming pool, waiting, spa license, summer camps, so those are recreational camps, campgrounds or the year-round one. Tanning establishment, we don't have in Tyngsborough, we only have a spray tan one. Body art establishment for, the establishment itself is 100, the practitioner is 50. And then we went over, this is everything that's, for the installing a septic system, including Title V, site evaluation, construction, permit, as well as a submittal of Title V. And then over here is where, food establishments, if it's under 25 seats, it's 100. If it's 26 to 100 seats, it's 200, and then if it's over 100 seats, it's 300. And then for the mobile food, license, it's 100. Retail food, it's 100. Catering is 100. Bakery, which kind of, is also 100. And then, the mobile food carts, I believe that's also 100 or 50. 50. Residential kitchen, that's 50 also. Frozen dessert license is for people who makes, ice cream. And then, temporary food permit is 20. Farmers market, if it's for a whole season, it's 35. Milk and cream, and this permit here has been, I think, in existence forever. It's $10, and most cities and towns that I've been to has it, and I think it goes back way when, there was an inspector that has to inspect, milk and cream. So, it's been there, we've never taken it out, down to $50, and then if you have tobacco, it's 100. And most of these fees, I think, has been in place since I've started, we have never really changed it. But again, I think to Angela's point, is prevent us from chasing, because if you look at 10 late renewals, you're looking at 2 or 3 phone calls, within, actually even more, 4 phone calls within a month. And we're not talking about just like chasing for record keeping, like the documents that they need to provide at us. It's just like, hey, you need to renew your permit, we're gonna shut you down, hey. And, it's just like, talking to.
To me, it reminds me of
empty
like
air.
tax season of, you had this amount of time to get it to us.
Yeah.
We'll put you on hold until we get through all this, and then we'll pick you back up in like April. And that could make some people go, wait, you're gonna shut me down for like 2 months? No, we didn't shut you down for 2 months, you did. But it takes a lot of effort to go
Right.
get all these permits out to people by the end of the year. And then the
Exactly.
people that you've gave advance notice, I would even say 4 notice automatically is plenty of notices.
And then
Versus
shut 'em down.
and shut them down, that's their penalty. And then they get put on the back burner until you're back from vacations and holidays and slow time again. Maybe even thinking, I was thinking around, it was like a reactivation fee on
Yeah.
top of it.
Well, what that involves also is like an inspector goes shutting it down, and then we probably have to do a drive-by to make sure that you're closed, because on weekends, we don't know whether you're closed or open, they can like try to sneak back to open. So it's a matter of monitoring it, just if you just shut them down. And it's also like, it probably get them to react faster, but we're also trying to work with them to
Yeah,
give
but
them opportunities to.
I understand working with
You're
them,
right.
but if it's the same 10 places every single year, they're not getting the message.
Right.
The message that they're walking away with is, oh yeah, the Board of Health really doesn't care. I'm not sure the fees alone are gonna be enough, but I think if I was like ignoring everything and you came and said, well, you're closed as of today.
Mhm.
Well, if you're giving them like, basically what we're proposing is like 4 weeks with all of these fees, and then if you're still not paying that fee, that's when we're gonna shut you down.
That's fine,
That's
you
fine.
could give them a
Yeah.
month, but I wouldn't go beyond a month.
No,
Right.
no.
Because that just,
I mean, you already provided a deterrent. The deterrent is you lose your permit.
right,
Now to start the whole
Right.
process up again is extra work on
Right.
top of it.
and if they make enough money, it doesn't even matter if it's, I don't think 20, 30, 40 is gonna make a difference, that's pocket change.
Yeah, no, that's why we are proposing like, I think there's
Maybe
like
we should start
fee.
higher.
Mhm.
Is
And
it,
then
is it more the $100, $300 license stuff, or is it the $10 milk and cream you're chasing?
Sometimes
No,
we don't
it's-
even care.
Yeah, no, I know,
Do
that's
the
what I'm
10, they
saying.
can just tell us, hey, we
Right.
don't have any milk,
'Cause
we don't even sell ice
Camp,
cream at home, like,
campgrounds is
okay, whatever.
100, food, lodging, tobacco is 100, pool permits, I don't even know where I get, they're probably higher up. And body arts were definitely 150s, like, you know,
Mhm.
I would even say the body arts are trying to, you know, for each employee that you have there, it's probably 4, so there's an extra 100 on top of the 100 you have to pay for the establishment. But, you know, some of these bigger companies that have over 100 seats, I don't know if we have any maybe here. that-
I don't know if any of them
corporate.
are really bigger companies, maybe one or two.
Maybe 1 or 2 that are corporate size.
Mhm.
I'm sure they're pretty much on time. They probably have somebody somewhere in
Yeah,
Arizona that's
St.
paying the
Charles.
bill.
But,
They have a licensing department.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Yeah.
that's probably not chasing
Um,
them.
but you're right, maybe something a little more aggressive and less of a time frame. I'd like to go into this when I send out information next month for renewals, sending this information out with it, saying this is a new policy, if it passes, whatever happens, this is what is put into effect starting immediately this year, and just telling everybody right away and sticking to it. That's what I'm looking to do. And if it comes down to closing them on that second week or fourth week, then it's not, oh, no, I feel bad, no, we're gonna have to close them, and that's it.
Close
It's,
them.
I guess it's not gonna be, oh, well, like last year, well, we'll give them another week, and then now you're on 3 months.
Mhm.
You know, it's gonna, this is it, we put this into effect, we're gonna stick to it. And then
Yeah.
next year, they won't do it.
Yeah, the biggest thing that I would fear is that a business owner would be, something happened when I was technically shut down and I kept open and some food poisoning or something like that happened. That gets in the news or the paper that, oh, by the way, they were shut down and they opened
Right.
back up. Good luck trying to rebuild your brand after that, you know, it's,
Or put it on Tyngsborough TV,
yeah.
this establishment is shut down due to lack of permit.
Yeah.
Let people know,
Let
like
people know,
that's,
like, it would be all over, like,
We'll
Tyngsborough
take
Board
a
of Health
sign
Facebook
and
page.
we'll take a sign and put it on their door.
yeah,
Yeah.
But I
well,
would
like,
put,
take it
I
off.
agree with what you're saying, if you put it on Facebook and on Twitter,
Mm.
people see it.
Mhm.
But like I saw, for instance, like today, Tyngsborough showed up with what the town meetings are, it pops up. So if you do that, then you don't have to worry about the weekends, somebody's gonna let you know they were open when they shouldn't have been open.
Okay. So what are you guys proposing?
Given the range of amounts that have to be paid, I would favor, a percentage. So, somebody hasn't paid 2 weeks out, I would give them a 25% surcharge. 4 weeks, 50% surcharge, and then shut them down after that. And if you're thinking about a reactivation fee, you can also, look into that.
You could have them need to be, re-inspected before they're opened. And then that charge is on
Yeah.
them, whoever whichever one of yous goes out and inspects.
And that doesn't, and that's on your timeline. That's not like, hurry up and come out here. I need to reopen. You know, it's just like, you have 12/31 closed, permit not activated, that's the deadline, you know? And,
I think if you make it hard enough, it's gonna stop the
Yeah.
behavior. And that's what you're looking to do, is stop
Yeah,
the behavior.
That's what we're
Exactly.
looking, without,
Exactly, that's
Right.
why we're
Yeah.
coming before you guys to stop that kind of behavior.
Right.
right. And if we're talking about like 10% of applicants, then
yeah,
Is that
and
like
and it varies
20?
sometimes.
businesses, or is that like
Um,
5?
No, it's between, probably around 8 to
Okay,
10.
8 and 10. I mean, that's 8 and 10, that could have to be reinspected.
And some do quicker than others, you know, some, okay, couple weeks, and others, couple months.
Well, I do think reaching out November 1st is a little too early for the average person, but you don't want to not do it
Right.
later than that. So I kinda understand why it may get initially missed.
Mhm.
But if you're regenerating emails and text
Yeah.
messages back to these individuals, then there's absolutely no excuse that they don't have that in
Right.
on
So-
December 31st. I mean, they could even do it online, and then you don't look
Right.
at it until January 2nd, depending on, you know, what day of the week it
Right.
is, but,
So the system itself automatically generates renewal emails, 2 in November, 2 in December, so that automatically goes out. I send one out personally telling them that it's renewal time and
You're
all
going
this
above and
information,
beyond.
keep an eye out for the emails from the system, and then come December, if I don't get their application started, then I start to email them, I haven't got your application yet, and individually, and then mid-December, I'll start phone calls if I don't get it. And then the phone calls and emails just keep going until I get their applications in.
doing too much.
Mhm.
I'm not even sure I would follow up when the system generated 4 reminders. I don't think you even need to send out a reminder and or a phone
So-
call.
At least more than 50%, I have to follow up to get them.
Like,
What it
But
is
then I
too-
get them.
like my annual certification, I get an email, like I just got one, and I know there's gonna be at least 2 or 3 more, they usually pay in December. But I've had staff that have forgotten to get their credentials in, and there was a penalty, you still had to pay, a little extra, plus you had to take some classes type thing, but they eventually let them get it.
Right.
If you did it by this date, which would be like January 15th, you know, if you got all these, you still had to pay the penalty, but we would reinstate your
Mhm.
license. So it was versus like, she would've lost her job basically, because you can't work without it. So I almost see what Sheila's saying of the computer's generating
Mhm.
4. That's what you get.
I agree.
You can probably send out one with maybe like a new policy on top of that to say,
Yeah, I
here's a
think-
new policy, here, plus look out for your next 4 emails that are coming. You'll see them in your email.
And even put it on like the Facebook pages and the Tyngsborough TV.
Yeah.
I mean, you probably need that time to do other jobs
That's true.
in the office. Not handhold these individuals who have had these businesses for years.
I wonder how many businesses came to the block party that you could have been like, here, sign up. Make sure you get your application.
Right.
I know. But yeah, no, I think that's why we have these computers do these things, they send out the,
And
and
I
everybody's
think
using
the
it.
Yeah,
computer-
I
I'm
know.
not,
My nursing license,
Please.
I just get an email.
This
and it's-
online renewal, I think it's only, I think I've only been up and running, I think for only 2 or 3 years.
it's 2 or 3 years too many, like she said, like we
Yeah.
get emails and our deterrent is we don't wanna take the whole test over again and start scratch, like this is,
Right.
yes, this is, to them, it's just a permit fee that they gotta pay and maybe all their documentation's in or they're waiting on something. But then I think they can call you and say, I'm waiting on something, and you can still do either have to be strong-handed across the board, or you have a maybe half of the fee or something like that, or it's gonna go past.
Right,
but
and they can still submit
we'll
the
waive your-
application, even if they're still waiting for something.
Right.
They can still start the process and submit and just write me a note.
Well, that makes sense.
I'm gonna send this when it comes in.
Yep,
Okay. But I would definitely, more aggressive, so if you were, what'd you say, Echo?
I said,
Ten.
if they were 2 weeks late, it'll be 25% surcharge. 4 weeks late, 50% surcharge. After that, they get shut down.
I think that's nothing,
Yeah, cause if they, if
because
you're,
it's $25, 50,
Yeah.
it's like, I think that's,
see, I would
the
double
penalty fee.
this. I
Yeah,
would,
I
I'd
was
double
almost
it
going.
right from the get-go. I would be not 50, I would probably be 100.
yeah, I mean, you're talking.
Starting out 100 and then 200, like, these are big ones down here.
Yeah, even if you go up a little bit, even with, you know, campgrounds and body art.
They were
and stuff,
small.
they were small, but they were like still 50 to 100, each,
I
and.
have to say, I don't have a problem with body art and I don't have a problem with campgrounds. Haven't had any issues with them so far, so they
Yeah,
they
so
have
it
been,
just seems like it's.
they have been right on top of everything for the most part.
Well, it depends on who they got working too, you know,
True.
so that's
Very
always-
true, but so far so good, but
I mean, I wish that we had some businesses in here to maybe explain their side, cause we're kinda
Right.
taking their worst case scenario. Some of them might be like struggling to pay payroll right now. You know, and I'm deciding whether or not I'm gonna be open in 6 months. You know, it's.
I think we heard some war story and,
we worked with them.
yeah, we're not like, okay, you
No.
know, but
Yeah, then we
It's-
leave that to your discretion, so
Mhm.
we're really just talking whether or not we want to do a doubling of fees, a sliding scale of fees, or percentage of fees. I mean, I think the biggest deterrent was you're gonna be shut down, but then you turn into who has the best excuse. You know?
actually, I think most, like, in the housing code or, in the, Massachusetts code, sanitary state code, it's $50 per day, per, violation. So maybe in these cases, $100 per week. So it's like the first week is 100, the second week is 100 plus, so I guess second week then they have to do 200, so maybe if we make the penalty a little bit higher, as each week that they're late, it's either $200. By the time they renew it on the second week, their penalty would be $400. By the third week, it would be $600. Instead of like $50 the first week.
Yeah, I
they
would
pay
definitely,
for
so
it.
you wanna do 200 on the first week?
Yeah, whatever you guys decide, but we can do
Kinda thinking 200.
by a
now.
week or per day, or
I would go.
we wouldn't do per month, but,
I would go by the week, not the day.
okay.
Well, I was wanting to
Or
say
$50
today.
per day.
Um,
That adds up
super-
really quickly.
But I would say for like, based on priority, like if you were doing days because somebody is open and feeding the public, let's say, as an example, a per day thing is your meat business.
I mean,
Because
yeah,
you're
30
technically not supposed to be open.
if you have 30 days in the month, if you do $10 a day, that's $300. If you do it per day,
Oh, I'd go up more than 10 per day.
if you did 20, it might make somebody do it quicker versus, they charged me for the week, so I have this week to do it. Maybe if it was a per day,
by second week, 75 by third day.
You wanna make it punitive, but at the same time, you don't wanna make it too, you don't want it to become, you don't want it to become too expensive that
They-
somebody for the heck of it would just take us to court. It makes sense to put a fee on, cause everything that you get given, the registration that is due, once it's past the time, there's always an amount that's added.
Right.
But when the amount becomes, like you're doing $100 a day or $10 a day, 10 days is $100, and then the actual license is 25. The person is paying 4 times, and I get it. It's a punishment,
Mhm.
yes. But you also have to look at it as, what if the person goes into 2 months? Are you really going to collect the 30 days, this 40 plus days or so? Are you really gonna collect it? $400.
So I guess it would depend on the reasoning why the license wasn't done. Because, so the permit itself is very easy to do, to submit. The renewal, you're gonna click the renewal button, and it's just the information on the establishment. And then it's gonna ask for documents that they should have to be able to have that establishment open, like your ServSafe, your allergen, your anti-choking, and then it will ask for your grease trap cleaning, your interior grease trap cleaning, your hood cleaning and servicing, things that establishment should have
Yeah.
to have it open. Those things you can bypass and still submit the permit to me. Some of them are required, like your ServSafe, some of them you can bypass. It still should be able to be submitted. People aren't submitting. It's not that they're not finishing it, it's just that they're not even clicking that renewal button to start the process to even submit it to me.
Yeah.
So it's more of the fact of just taking the time, the 10-15 minutes to start that process to get it over to me, and then I will work with you for a half an hour and say, oh, yep, we can do this, we need this, and get them through the rest of it. It's just the time to press that submit button is what we're looking to do. Not fully, we want it fully
Yeah,
completed,
okay.
but we really want it started. Most of these establishments, we're not getting it started.
Yeah, but you want it started before December 31st.
Yes, we wanna start it
So-
before December 1st, and we want it completed before December 1st, but we
You're a
really like
little
it.
too lenient,
Yes, I agree.
so you're kind of your own worst
I know.
enemy, I think.
I know, I agree.
Because I'd be like, shut them down. You don't have it, you're not working.
Well, that's an option too. You could send them, the letter and just tell them January 1st, if you haven't done the renewal, you're shut down.
And we do, I mean, we talk about that too, and we discuss that, and like you were saying, it's really hard might be hard for this establishment to pay that $200. Well, what if we shut them down? How are their employees gonna care for their families? How is their business gonna survive? And we discuss that too.
But that's not your
And you're right,
issue though.
it isn't.
It's
And
not
we're
the Board
like,
of Health's issue, it's
I
their
agree.
issue.
I'd almost say they have to come in for like some type of hearing.
So we were looking to kinda start,
That's like another step.
I know.
we were kinda looking to start with something like this to see if we could,
Yeah, no.
Deter it, and if it doesn't
Yes.
deter it, then
That's it.
let's take a more aggressive approach. But to
Yeah.
your point too, it's like, okay,
show it to
shut them down, can they take us to court? Do you know what I mean? It's like, I'm not gonna pay it.
right,
It's the same thing, but I think if we start out with a fee, let's see where that takes us and see if this system works better. And if it doesn't, if you want it shut January first, if they
Right.
don't pay by that, then let's look at that next year. But, let's take a little bit more, I think, less aggressive approach and see how that works.
Give 'em a taste.
Because I
Give them a little taste of it.
Yeah,
As
yeah.
we can go.
I was like, hey, this isn't working, we're gonna.
I mean, I do wanna stick with like the 12/31 deadline. I mean, there is a
Right.
deadline.
We can
We have
even-
other things on the books that says you can't have a closed lid open type thing, you know, cause you were
Yeah.
told it's gotta be closed. So we need to start with, that's the deadline, 12/31, and then we can talk about maybe a
Cause you're talking about 8 people, or 8 establishments, or 10
10.
tops.
let's say 10, yeah.
Right.
So out of
Roughly.
everyone else that's doing everything that they're
Right.
supposed to do on time.
And I always thought that
But
was the fear, was that
that's
having
the-
shut down on 12/30.
That's just estimating, taking a guess, might be a
Yeah.
little less, yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, again, I still think she's right, you get,
Yep, and if she doesn't handhold people, then we may get a higher number, who knows?
Right.
mm-hmm,
But now we are sending out this letter that we're serious and we want it this time, even if we don't email them, you know, with, even if we just do it with that 4 emails. And then I think it would be good if we send out an initial letter in the mail as well and said,
Oh,
starting
Angela's
this
gonna
day.
keep calling, no matter what, I know what Angela's
I
gonna
don't
do.
know, but,
And then
We'll be
that's,
strict.
that's the part that you should be angry at. You know, the 4 letters went out, this was gonna go out, and you called X amount of time,
so I
and they're
don't,
still not starting it.
I don't mind doing it prior, and as long as we get it started prior to that date, I'm like, I don't mind helping. I don't mind walking them through it. If they need help doing it, I don't mind doing it prior to then. It's when we're after it, and I'm like, okay, listen,
So
We haven't
here's,
gotten
here's
nowhere
an
yet.
example that, with Total's renewal, I think Angela sent out, a final email that said we're gonna remove your trash total because you haven't made payment. And so the lady called and I pick up the phone, she goes, do you know what, I haven't received any, phone call, any email, any, renewal. So I was like, okay, wait, so I transferred to Angela and she go, we send you an email on these dates, call you on these dates, left you a message on these dates, and it was all so well noted, and I was
knew it.
like,
She
you
was
go
like-
girl, because she was trying to get out of getting that trash
Mhm.
total not, removed, and
Yeah.
she's trying to
Not
not
paid
get
for
a
it.
late fee. And Angela go, nope, we do this, and you, there's no way you can tell me that, we did not send you any notification. And I think that was like, oh, that was so awesome. But I think that's where Angela did a really good job of like documenting and like, yes, we did notify you.
I just have one other question.
Yeah.
And then we can come up and make a decision. When the system sends out their emails, is there like a return receipt? So in other words, like if they open the email, do you get that back? Do you have the documentation that the email went to Peralt's establishment, they opened the email?
So you go on the renewal page, and it tells you the date it was sent out, and it tells you if it was clicked, if it was opened, or if it was nothing. So
Okay.
it just says sent, clicked, or opened, so you can actually tell if they clicked on it, opened
Yeah.
it,
or
or.
if it
Yep.
went to like
Yep.
a
Their
spam folder,
Spam folder,
that it was
whatever.
never opened, hasn't been opened in 4 attempts, that
So,
email went
right,
out.
so if I see that it hasn't been opened in 4 attempts, I'm like, okay, well, maybe they didn't get it.
Right.
Yeah.
Something along those lines. If I see they clicked on it 3 times, I'm like, well, you definitely got it,
Well, that's the thing, like,
but you didn't
I
open it.
think in everything else that we do in life, we have to maintain our own accountability.
Mhm.
And you're doing yeoman's work by trying to keep them accountable to it by calling them all the time and saying, did you do this, sent you another email, like you're keeping on top of them, great. But other aspects, we don't have that. Make sure you get that 1 or 2 emails and that's it.
Mhm.
You know, and it's all on you. I think what is happening with the auto generating, I think we have to stick to that, and then maybe start off with something that is something that we mean business, which is we're gonna take care of the people that need their permits and are already ready to go, the ones that are calling me, that are gonna go past 12/31, we might have to say we'll pick up when we're back in the office, but from there, the penalty might be something small to start with this year, it could go up next year. I'm okay with like a double the permit fee, some type of like reactivation of it. Just, okay, so now focus on you have to pay double. Or we do a percentage scale, but I think by day is just way too much.
What about what Angela proposed that, which is like 50, 100, 200? I don't think that's like a.
I think you're showing the likelihood of you showing grace when you have multiple weeks and multiple fees. I
Yeah.
think you put one fee and shut down, or
Yeah.
2 fees and shut down.
So 2 weeks, so do like 2 weeks and then shut down versus a month, you think?
Oh, I think if you're gonna give me a month, I'm probably gonna take them.
Okay, take
Okay.
that, yeah, no, we have to
A
assume
month
ours.
plus
Yeah.
$400.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah,
well.
but if I'm
A
making
month and.
I would-
bank in my restaurant, what's $400,
True.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's, your permit is expired as of 12/31. If you want us to look at it after 12/31, you have to pay twice the amount, but
We gotta come
they're
up with
hoping
a-
to get their permit back. I would say, that doesn't mean when you submit,
Right.
cause you still have to look through it.
Mm-hmm.
That could take you a week before, they're still shut down, that still hurts them.
Yeah, but we're not gonna do that. Like,
No.
Well, but why should she have to like come back on January 3rd and start rifling through like 8 of them in 30 documents because they have serve safe and all this other stuff to make sure they're targeted? She's gonna spend the whole week back.
I think we wanna see them at least apply for it.
Yeah, see, I think it expires, like if my license expires, like
So that
I
involves.
have to pay extra to get it back.
That involves someone going over to each establishment and telling them, hey, send all your customer out of here, you're shut down.
Well, that's
That's
why
what you gotta do.
That's when you make it public.
Yeah.
So that's when you make it public, and so the residents will let you know that these guys are open when they shouldn't be. You might even have a situation where somebody actually calls the cops and say, this establishment, to my knowledge, has been shut down, and they're still, serving.
And then it would be an embarrassment
Yeah.
to the establishment that you were shut down because of a permit, because of paperwork.
Yeah.
And if it's a restaurant, then
mainly,
people
it's not
begin,
I know.
inspections,
people would
it's
question the
paperwork.
quality of your food if the health department has shut you down.
I mean, like how busy are you're pretty busy after the holidays, right? Like you get through the whole holidays, now you're coming back. It's kinda quiet, I guess, for a little bit, kids are on vacation.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, it's like that
Take
holiday season,
holidays off and-
holidays
yeah,
off. When you get
mhm,
back,
yeah.
you're like, alright, I got 10 businesses here I have to go visit now.
Yeah,
You can call them that morning, say we're coming out. I don't know if that's not right, or you have to do drop-ins. It's up to you, like, we're coming out to shut you down for not having started your application, finishing your application, whatever.
So,
And if they say, I told Angela I'm waiting for Serve Safe to come in. Okay.
right.
The fee has no double.
I think your concern is mostly with those individuals that are just refusing to do anything up to December 31st. But those that are communicating with you, those that are starting the process, you allow them, you give them more grace.
If we're
But-
waiting for,
Yeah.
waiting to have their grease tank pumped because they, couldn't get somebody in for 3 weeks, or, their CPR class is in 2 weeks from now, or, yes,
So it's not so much completing, but
starting
Starting.
and we're just starting
Communicating.
and getting most of the documents in, and we might be just waiting for this and this.
Yeah.
That's absolutely fine, that happens, because sometimes you can't get a class, you don't notice that your CPR expired 2 weeks ago until you send it to me and I say, hey, this expired 2 weeks ago. And they're like, oh, wait, let me go see if I can get a class, and they get a class in 4 weeks, so.
yeah, the instructor's not coming out until such day.
That is absolutely
It's gonna take
okay.
another 2 more weeks to do.
They book it, they send me their confirmation for the booking, I save it, and nothing, I mean, that, we're good. We're not gonna charge them a late fee or anything like that, we're just gonna wait for them to send me, I'll make a note, they'll send me over the certification, and then we'll give them the permit. It's more of the places where we don't have anything and nothing's started, and there's no documents, there's no application, there's nothing at all.
So it almost reads like it's something, it's not started by December 15. By the time after December 31st, it's increased or doubled or something. It's almost like you're trying to get them to before December 31st.
Yes. I mean, we would like everybody to be finished by December 31st, but sometimes things happen. Sometimes you can't get that pumping company out there to do your grease. Sometimes you don't notice. In a perfect world, yes, everybody should notice if their serve safe expired or CPR expired, but sometimes you don't.
It's almost like they need a temporary permit before they.
I think you gotta be a little careful on the CPR example, because technically, that could be open for a lawsuit if something was to happen. Alright, so I think we're in agreement of doing something. So why don't we nail this down, cause we've kinda gone full circle twice.
So there's things that would be reactivation fees, a percentage fees, weekly fees. And then you've talked about whether or not the process needed to be started versus it's in process, they're just waiting on the documentation.
Right.
But that would leave it up in the air for you to go, okay, we'll let this lapse a little bit longer.
Right.
So there is some, I guess, leeway in there. So it's really what I just don't wanna make it more work for you. I think we're all in agreement, at least forward notices automatically generates, let the computer do it, and you can check on that status versus
Mhm.
chasing it down. I think that is one that,
I think you can do what you feel most
Yeah.
comfortable with in the month of December. I think come January 1st, we have to make the decisions that they've made cost them some money in their pocket. And we have to have a shortened, personally, I think a shortened time span. I don't think going a month, I think 2 weeks.
Yeah.
yeah.
And if you don't have everything in within 2 weeks, or
Mhm.
started the process, then you're shut down. Your establishment is shut down.
I agree.
Yeah,
So-
that gets through the holidays and stuff
Yeah.
to kinda get there. They get like a extended reprieve and then shut down. From there, we're talking about what's the penalty for having you now focus on the 20 documents that they've now submitted and get them a new license. And I don't know how quickly you could do that. Can you turn around in a
It's
day
quick.
or two? Okay.
Yeah, if they submit me the documentation and I have it, I can do it in 45 minutes, go through everything, and
Okay.
if it's all there,
Okay.
so.
Okay.
I would suggest 100 each week. Or either 100 or 200, it doesn't matter, but, and then close it, would be my thought. Cause most of these are $100 anyways.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, 'cause that's pretty much just like double whatever these fees are.
Then, to increase those fees, so you want.
Hmm?
I think that's that's another discussion for another day,
Another
because
day, yeah.
if we've talked about increasing them, I think they've been increased,
Yeah,
possibly,
For the Title Fives, we did.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but not for everything else.
I mean, they're pretty inexpensive, but we can't do both at the same time. Especially where we're really coming into the fall and November is right there.
Yeah.
So maybe come
We can
January,
think about
February,
it,
we
yeah, we can
can
start.
We can
put
think
that
about it,
on,
yeah.
on our, agenda to take a look at the fees.
And with something like that, I would, you could even entertain half rates. If you're so good, you would pay half the price.
So it doesn't matter, what do you guys want for,
I
I
think,
think-
oh, sorry.
You get,
I think a 2-week time frame is a short time frame. So I think if you did 100, I don't think a aggressive scale is gonna make too much of a difference, because it's a short time frame where it's a close down. So if you did 100 a week versus 200 a week, I don't think it's gonna make too much of a difference, cause it's a 2-week time frame. So you're still gonna have to pay this fee either way, and 2 weeks it is, you're closed if we don't have it, so.
yeah.
it's the closing.
It's the
It's the
closing,
closing
and it's the
that's the
fees,
problem.
fees just kicked in there to be like, well, you have to pay this fee. So I think 100's fair,
Yeah.
and it's thrown in maybe they'll be like, oh, I have to pay $100, I'll get this done this week, maybe, and if not, they pay another 100, then they're closed. So,
Okay.
What do you guys think?
I think we make a motion and I'm like in the 2-week, especially with a fast turnaround time.
So 100 a week, right, so I make a motion that on the permit renewal regulations, if an establishment or individual has not submitted their application and have it completed by December 31st, then they will have not a what is it called?
Surcharge?
A surcharge of $100 per week times 2 weeks, with closure of the establishment after the second week. Couldn't think of the word I wanted to say.
Do I have a second? Seconded.
Yeah, I'll second,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, now you can do discussion.
Okay, do we have any discussion on that? Do we like the 100 each week surcharge?
Yeah, I think with the 4 nuisances and the generosity of Angela in December, I think from what Angela is saying, she's practically just asking people to start the process and communicate with her. And that there's grace to be given to those that need it, but for those that are ignoring it, I think there should be a penalty. And we all face it for everything that we have to do. In every sector that there is a registration, there's always penalties. You rarely hear that there's no penalty for somebody missing a registration, so
Yeah.
I think it's fair.
Yeah, and like I said, like I had it in the hospital, it was either increased fees or extra work that somebody had to do in order to reinstate it. Because it makes more work on the people that are trying to do this. So I agree with that type of motion. So we can take a vote. Echo,
In favor.
Sheila,
In favor.
and I'm in favor as well, so that passes 3-0. And then I think we should keep it on the agenda again next September and see how it did. Okay, so let's go a little bit out of agenda line. Do you wanna talk about director's notes before we stay on the board?
Yeah, so I don't have much to report than what's been, I think that that before, we just had our household hazardous waste day this past Saturday. So the ritual is coming up on the 14th. I hope you guys can make it, cause it's our first one. We have, DA Ryan, to speak. We have, State Rep, Colleen Gary, she'll speak. And we also have a resident who had lost her, someone to, opioid. She's also to speak. And then, after that, we have, a reading of the lighting of the candles and the reading of the names, of those, who, were lost. And then we had a guy who, he has received so many praises that he, gonna sing his version of, Hallelujah, and, for the closing. We also going to have House of Hope that's gonna set up a table, just in case people, wanna reach out to them, but, so they'll have a table there. I don't know if you guys had, driven by, Old Town Hall. We have a banner that, said like the night vigil right in front of Town Hall with purple flags, where residents, if they cannot make the vigil, they can come, and, write the name of their loved ones, and we'll take their name and we'll read it at the vigil, and they can plant the flag back on. We call it, Garden of Remembrance, Garden. So, but it's right in front of Old Town Hall with purple flags and a purple banner.
No, it's wonderful.
Is this Saturday? What time?
It's this Saturday, it's at, 6:00, it starts at 6 with, signing of names. 6:30 is, we'll start with a little bit of, introduction, or opening from, one of our staff members who's been running this, and then the speakers, so it starts at 6.
Okay. What time is it expected to end?
Probably around 7:30, depending on, the speeches. We're giving them about 15 minutes, a person to speak.
And is it at the, Old Town Hall?
It's at Old Town Hall.
How was the traffic on hazardous, was it bad?
There was a lot of not traffic, like wait time
I mean, on Kendall Road,
on Kendall Road.
yeah.
Yes, so, we have a police officer who's out at front, and then we have, Jimmy, the highway guy, who makes sure that people who are coming to the household hazardous fair is, that they're pulled to the side, and then sometimes people, they thought there may be an accident or something, they may pull behind it, so he was there to help us out, which I think was like a great help to let people know that if you're not here for the household hazardous, you can pass the traffic. I think this year, there was a lot of cars has a lot of food loads, have a lot of things to, get rid of, so it did go, not as fast as we want it to be. Like, I think in past year, I think we got it down where like boom, 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 the in and out, even though there's traffic, it hasn't been as long as a wait. But this year, with the amount of, things that people bring, and they also started with like less people too, so they had to call their people to come and help out with the events as well. So they had to pull in a couple of guys from other communities to, help it going.
Then the following Saturday is
We have an event on the 21st,
Birch
right?
Street.
Yep, it's the health fair, and then, discovery at the, I think it's on a Tuesday night, at
Yeah.
Roller Kingdom. And then we also have, domestic violence, week that we're doing a, self-defense class. So, yeah.
We're busy.
Just when you said it's a self-defense part that made me laugh. Just I remember the video of I think someone in Florida. Somebody tried to break into a house and the homeowner shot and missed. The police officer said, "You're not in trouble. Come see us.
Oh, yes.
We'll give you the training you need so that next time when you shoot, you don't miss."
Yes. I think that's not that was actually great. We'll teach you the not to miss next time. Yeah. Okay. Do we wanna do the private well, or do you want more of an assembly, cause what do we have left, like 2 chapters?
I think Steve needs to be there for this.
So I think Angela has the first page that's in red.
Yep.
Those are the things that, still need to be discussed.
Okay.
And then I think the second page is, more of, more details on what's been discussed and what has been.
So the purpose, the authority, and the definitions haven't been touched, right? The certificate we haven't commented on. Quantity, quality. And then the display. Yeah, I think, me personally, I think the next time we can probably get through the top 3 pretty quickly. I think the certificate requirements and testing all are kind of together.
I think you guys skipped it, the definitions, because
Yes,
you-
we have to move back.
Yeah, and the reason you guys skipped it, the definitions, was, because of some of the discussions you have where you said, oh, maybe we need it, or maybe we won't need it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause I know Steve also has a private well, so he might have some comments on stuff,
Okay.
as well as I do.
I have a private well.
You have 3 private wells.
I have one.
Oh, 4 private wells.
4 private wells, and these are relating to new wells, so. But,
The definition of new well is very, wells do run dry, and then you're under completely different set of rules, which you just live with like for the last 20 years. Which is kind of, that kind of hurts me. Cause I mean, I'm sitting on one it's working, does what job, but I know neighbors that are sitting on hundreds of gallons a minute, and it's like, oh man, you're never gonna run out, get out. And I've known people in the family that have their well ran dry, and it's like, okay, you gotta start the process again, and then you're under a completely different set of rules. Versus like incremental rules. Do you have no people?
No, I don't know people that have those issues.
And, oh, well, issues. I had to drill
I have 2 neighbors that their wells
I know
run
people
dry.
have problems with dogs.
Jeez.
My next door neighbor, their well ran dry, and then 2 houses from me, 1 point also, his well went dry.
Mm. With no other access to like get like one down the road, it's just like, alright, well, on me again, which No, and that's the thing, then, and when you're building houses, sometimes you don't know what, or you're inheriting somebody else's house and how was it installed and
I
stuff
grew
like
up in
that.
the city and the water came from the road.
Right, exactly, me too, I grew up in Brighton, it was just like, had water, had electricity, what's this new
I'm like,
electricity and
what's
water
a thing in the middle of our yard?
What's that little thing, septic, what, oh.
It's a candy cane.
Yeah, exactly, it's different, but I also, so, I'm okay with taking it, so.
Yeah, I think what though we really need to do is everyone needs to, including myself, read this document and be prepared to discuss it. I think that's critical. So we're not
Yeah.
like sitting here reading it for the first time,
Yeah, and I like
cause
what
then
you
it'll
do
take forever.
with this, it definitely tells us what we've looked over and skipped. Like I even realized the other, like our fridge went, and then the appliance stores were just like, no, you have to get a plumber to like reconnect your water to your new fridge, and it's like, what? They're like, nope, or we're gonna have to send a plumber out, and it's like, you just disconnected it and to connect it back in, they wanted us to do a plumber, so I don't know if some lawsuits, some regulations that came out or something, they're just like, yeah, call the plumber now. Forget it, I'll do it. You know? But sometimes when you get new things or things get passed, they are now in a different, or we're not gonna touch that anymore. So one of the things I was just reading was about the electrician has to do the connection, which
That's standard.
that's probably standard, and that's I think what Steve was kinda saying the whole time, was like, some of these companies just outsource it to an electrician, though they have to do that, like, we're not gonna touch that, we're not gonna have our own electrician or be responsible for that. So some of it is pretty standard operating practice. We don't touch that, let them do that, which is fine, I think probably the best move, you know? Yeah, so I agree, maybe reading through and getting ready to talk about. Okay,
So our, the pink things are the changes that we made?
So those are Carrie and Matt's notes, the
Oh,
pink
that's
things.
right.
Oh, okay,
so KO is Kerry, okay,
Your changes, the other piece of paper, the one that, it's a single piece,
This one?
yep. So that is what we went through,
yeah,
and the ones that, are like black and then have blue that said the board reviewed, and then underneath have some bullets.
yep,
Those are the changes that you made in those sections.
Okay,
And then the ones that you just passed with no changes, just say board has reviewed.
okay.
And then the red are the ones that we didn't go through yet.
Okay.
weren't we gonna call like some installers too? Is that on there?
I know we requested.
Question whether or not to call somebody to see what they thought of some of these things.
Did you guys base this, was it off of Westford or something?
No, it's a model regulation provided by the state.
Okay.
Yeah. October 16th of last year was, I think, probably a good meeting minutes to review, because I think that's when we started discussion of the wild regulation.
Okay.
October and November.
that we table the private well regulation discussion until our next meeting.
That's again.
Okay, discussion, none, okay, Echo, how do you vote?
In favor.
Sheila,
In favor.
and I am in favor. Okay. Meeting minutes for approval, August 12th. Let's see if we have everybody. 1, 2. And Echo, yay.
Next week. Yeah, give me a copy too. Oh, you want that?
Did the COVID test come in?
It did.
Mhm.
So we have it in our office if anybody would like to get some COVID. I think it's going pretty fast.
Okay.
All right, I'll grab 2.
Okay. We also have opioid kit, if anybody wanna grab some and just to have it around.
Are you giving out the CPR face mask as well?
The CPR mask,
Face mask, yeah.
it's in the
It's
test
in
kit.
it, okay.
I mean, it's in the Narcan kit. What did I say? Opioids? I meant Narcan kit.
Just a quick question, is that open meeting law still in effect? The 2020 to 03 PDF? The very last things is governor side orders regarding the open meeting law.
The one on the bottom.
Yeah. It's expired.
Doesn't look like it.
Should be.
Yeah, I make a motion that we accept the Board of Health minutes for Monday, August 12th, 2024, as written.